chess player can see up to 20 moves deep. That means that in some games, you've calculated every possible move in your head. The game's over even before it's really started. Like a game of chess. Same with a con. You have to see that deep.
Sadistic Penguin Studios presents Yumper and Svo at the Show podcast with Tom Yumper Garcia.
Have you paid your dues, Jack? Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
And Justin Svo Svoboda.
What, so I gotta sit here and eat dessert alone like I'm fucking Steven Glansberg?
It's almost time, so grab a drink. Get your popcorn ready and get comfortable to hear two guys from Chicago talking movies.
Welcome, everyone, to a new live edition of Yumper and Svo. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tom Yumper Garcia, and I'm with my other co-host, Justin Svo Svoboda. How you doing, Mr. Svoboda?
I'm good, Yum. Thanks for asking. Happy Memorial Day weekend, buddy.
Same to you, and shout out to all the veterans who serve and are serving right now for that. So we got an action-packed episode today. We're going a little early today because we got things to do, of course, being the weekend, a holiday weekend. We got things to do today and tomorrow, so we decided to go a little early today. So let's just get into it, Swole, and go into what we were watching this week.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. I spent the last 2 nights at the theaters, and I went to go see the live-action version of The Little Mermaid. And last night at 10:15, after I got out of work, I went to go see Bert Kreischer's The Machine. And let's start off with The Little Mermaid. I am a little over the live-action Disney remakes of classic animated flicks. But with one exception, I really enjoyed this remake. I am not a Lin-Manuel Miranda guy. I get the appeal. He's just not for me. And I said this in a tweet earlier this week. He feels like that English teacher in high school that wanted to teach you Shakespeare by rapping to you. And it's corny, and I don't like it, and I don't need it. But he adds 2 songs to this movie that weren't in the original 1994 animated movie that are corny as shit. And it was my least favorite part of the movie. The rest of the movie I thought was really, really well done. The CGI looked good. It was bright. It was vibrant. It wasn't as dark as I thought it was going to be in the trailer. And I just mean that from a color aspect. I don't mean from the story. But it was fun. And then last night, my lovely wife was very, very kind enough to humor me and go see The Machine with me at 10:30. And honestly, I thought this movie was going to suck from the first 5 minutes of it. And it was a combination of Bert Kreischer's stand-up and John Wick. It sounds bizarre, but he gets kidnapped, he gets taken to Russia, and it's about them trying to find this watch so the Russian mafia can take over. And it's dumb, but it's pretty damn funny. And Bert Kreischer, the dude's a comic. He's not an actor, but he does a pretty decent job in this. And Mark Hamill overacts in it like he usually does. But it's good. It's entertaining. I would definitely watch it. I don't know if it's going to be a blockbuster or if it's going to be a big hit, but it's definitely a fun watch and entertaining.
Nice. I know you were really excited about The Machine. I know Bert Kreischer is one of your guys. You've been waiting for that one for a while.
Yeah.
I will check it out. I probably won't go see it in theater, but I'll see it when it comes out, probably digital.
And I don't blame you.
Yeah. Little Mermaid, I know it got a lot of controversy for the fact that it had a African-American female play the lead role, which I don't think should really matter, but people are stupid. But I heard some bad things about the music too. Like I heard the music is just, but I mean, you got to try something new. And I do appreciate, even though I haven't seen that, they're trying something a little bit more of their own spin on it, which is good, because just regurgitating the same thing, I think is just a cheap cash grab. But I know you're tired of live action movies. I mean, the movie that The Rock did a couple years ago, I can't think of the name of it, with the
Moana's
gonna get live. That's getting a live action. That's only been out for 10 years.
Is it even 10 years old yet?
No, it isn't. And they're doing. How many times have they done Pinocchio? I mean,
right.
Robert Downey Jr. is shooting a new Pinocchio now with Geppetto, and it's just like they keep rehashing the same stuff. So
like it started off with they did a Beauty and the Beast, and they did Aladdin, and You know, like whatever. Will Smith was never going to be Robin Williams. And then they did The Lion King, and I love John Favreau, but like, did we need it? And then they even did like direct to Disney Plus, like they did a live action Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like. How many more do we need?
Gotta make money somehow. And Shane, shout out to Shane for this because Shane's been telling me to watch the new White Man Can't Jump. I've been super busy with school this weekend, so I really haven't had a chance to jump on it. But he's not the only person I heard that. And they said it's not as good as the original, but they're saying it's not bad.
Yeah, we threw out the challenge on our Twitter account. Like, does anybody want to watch the new White Man Can't Jump so we don't have to? Because initially we thought it was going to be Cheeks, but I don't know. Like, Shane and like two other people said that it was decent and they enjoyed it. And you're exactly what you said. It's never going to be the same thing or as good as the original, but yeah, I don't know.
I have a question to ask you, but I'm gonna go into what I've been watching first before I ask you about it because
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all related to basketball movies. But so I was in a little Ben Affleck move, and I watched actually The Accountant. I really haven't seen that movie. I saw bits and pieces of it, and the first thing I thought was pretty hilarious is that he operates an accounting firm in Plainfield, Illinois, which is pretty funny. Lots of action. I really liked it. It kind of reminded me of Nobody from the movie Nobody that just came out recently. That's more of a comedy. This is more kind of a serious role, but I thought it was like a different side of Affleck, even though it's an action film. But the fact that he kind of has like sort of like autism, kind of I guess in the movie, but he's super smart with numbers, and it was really like a nice ride. And I didn't notice it was 2 hours until it was finished. J.K. Simmons, John Brenthal, also great cast. Anna Kendrick throwing her in there, awesome. So I really enjoyed that movie. What do you think about it?
Well, it's an Affleck flick, so I saw it, but it also has Anna Kendrick in it, and I would watch Anna Kendrick read the phone book. I like this movie. I think you hit on it pretty well. It's very, very nobody-like. It's very, very like, it's got some John Wick aspects in it, and then he plays a dude with autism, and he runs numbers, and he picks up on things. I like The Accountant.
Yeah, it was actually a good movie. So you haven't seen that one, I would check that one out. And then another movie that I like that doesn't really get enough recognition is The Island. It's directed by Michael Bay. It's with Ian McGregor, Scarlett Johansson, and Djimon Hounsou, who you might know from Gladiator. Not Gladiator. He's in Marvel movies now.
He was also in a fantastic
Blood
movie.
Diamond.
Blood Diamond. He was in a fantastic movie, and by fantastic, I mean terrible, called Never Back Down, about mixed martial arts fighting. He was like the sensei in the dojo, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, he's excellent in this movie. It's basically about people who are living on an island. They call it an island, but it's not really an island. They're living in a secluded area, and they're run through basically physical checks. They're run through physical training. They make their dietary, but they're locked in these like cubes, and they interact with each other, but they're watched constantly. They have meetings with doctors and whatnot. And then as you go on through the movie, I'm sorry, I'm going to spoil it. It's 20 years old, but when you go out through the movie, you find out they're actually clones of rich people. And they're basically there in case something happens to that rich person. Say one of them, like Ian McGregor's characters, needs a liver. So when they say they're going to the island, they're actually killing them off. And the whole point is they escape. Steve Buscemi actually is in this movie as well, and he plays a pretty hilarious role. So if you haven't checked that one out, I would definitely recommend it. It's not as popular as the sci-fi movies that have been mentioned previously. The Fifth Element's one of my favorite movies. This one I would put like right below The Fifth Element. I really like it just because the story is different and it's something new.
So I do the PowerPoint for the show, and when you told me what movies you watched, and I saw that this was from the director of The Rock and Armageddon, I've never seen this movie.
Yeah, it's another movie that doesn't get enough credit. And it's not the greatest movie, but it's a good, interesting story. It's based off a book called The Clonus Horror, which was released in 1979, which they didn't credit but they came and said, hey, this is off our book. And they actually won in a settlement, which is kind of funny. But it's got like a different story, like something we hear about clones and whatnot, but this is something like where the twist and turns in it, and you find out why they're doing certain things. And it was just, to me, kept me engaged.
Yeah, I will check this out this week. You said it's got Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson in it, right?
Yep, and also Steve Buscemi's also in it as well.
And Michael Bay directed it?
Yep. Michael
Sick.
Bay.
Sick.
The Rock
I
Man.
mean, you're not gonna like. There will be no Michael Bay bad mouthing on the Yumper Info podcast because even if you don't like his movies, they're goofy and fun to watch with a group of people.
Yeah, if you ever watched the epic rap battles of history, there's a Michael Bay skit where he said he doesn't give a shit. He just cashes checks with his nuts.
Hey,
But so Swole, I want to ask you this. So I got a lot of shit from my fraternity brothers because somebody asked me what my favorite basketball movie was. You would assume me to say it was White Man Can't Jump. You know, Hoosiers. I don't think Hoosiers is that great. That's just my opinion. Everybody says Hoosiers is great. It was the movie with Tupac, Above the Rim. He Got Game. My favorite movie is actually Coach Carter.
okay.
Because I dealt with the inner city youth was my job. And also, I just like Samuel L. Jackson. I think it's a different role of him being a mentor, not like Black Snake Moan, where he's with Christina Ricci, but like a mentor. And it's based off a true story, which is an interesting story that a guy gave up basically his basketball team's dominance to get them set straight and set them on a better path. What do you think about that? Like, I get a lot of shit from my friends. They always give me shit about it.
About Coach Carter?
Yeah, about Coach Carter being my favorite movie. He's like, they're always like, oh, it's not even the top 10 of people's movies. I'm like, I don't give a shit. It's my favorite movie.
I don't think that's a bad choice at all. I think that was probably the first time that I ever saw Channing Tatum in a movie. I think that's a good movie. Mine personally is He Got Game.
It's a good movie.
I really, really like that era of Spike Lee's career, 25th Hour, He Got Game. But it was also like a different look at high school basketball recruiting. And it was supposed to be based on the life of Stephon Marbury. But no, I think Coach Carter's a great pick. I don't mind that pick at all.
I need to watch Coach Carter now. You do that, Tony.
I don't think that, I don't know why that pick would get mocked.
It's just because my friends give me shit. Mine is high school musical.
I know. My friends give me shit about movies I like all the time.
Yeah, it's just something that when I saw about the Sox game on Line Night, they're all there and they like brought it up to me. They're like, "You got a movie podcast? Did you talk about Coach Carter?" I'm like, "No, I did not talk about it yet." But
I like Alexis's comment. Mine is High School Musical.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Saturday Night Live skit. Like, who are we? The Wildcats. Who are we gonna beat? The Wildcats.
Yeah, so I get so there are movies that I get shit for too, people.
It happens.
But so we got like a nice set of movies that we picked that were dealing with heist movies. Me and Swole love the heist movie genre. So we picked 3 of our favorites each, and we're gonna go through them and discuss them in depth as much as we can without rambling on. I do love Blue Chips.
Neon
Brian.
Boudreaux, absolutely, me too.
Nick Nolte is hilarious to me, just in any role he plays because he's Nick Nolte.
Absolutely, and Shaquille O'Neal is my second favorite basketball player of all time. So like that was his first movie role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Penny Hardaway as well.
Penny Hardaway was in it as well. Yep.
That's when like Penny and Shaq were like the main big guys coming out of Orlando.
1993.
Yep. But Swole, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's go with our first one.
If I know what kind of guy you were, I never would have agreed to work with you.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite? What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it. Would you repeat it? Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy? Or are you gonna bite?
1992's Reservoir Dogs, starring Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, Chris Penn, Steve Buscemi, Lawrence Tierney, and Michael Madsen. This movie had a budget of $1.5 million and a box office of $2.9 million, but since then has built the cult status. So this is one of my picks. I remember seeing this movie for the first time, and just the introduction of the characters is hilarious. They start off in the diner talking about Madonna, like a virgin, what the whole basis of the song is. And then they cut to Little Green Bag, where they all walk out, which I thought is a badass introduction to those characters. This movie was the first movie by Quentin Tarantino. He was actually going to direct it himself until Harvey Keitel found out that the screenplay of this and wanted to direct it. So he got funding to do so. And Harvey Keitel, of course, starred in it. You know, you have great characters from Chris Penn to Steve Buscemi to characters that are not really well known, but had a great influence on a lot of people like Eddie Bunker, who is a big prominent guy in Danny Trejo start. And he also wrote Midnight Run with Eric Roberts. Stuff like that. Like this movie just to me is total heist. It's Quentin Tarantino at his best. It introduces the fact of them doing a diamond heist and the fact that they have an undercover cop within it, played by Tim Roth, who does it to perfection. Swole, what do you think about Reservoir Dogs?
I mean, what can I say about Reservoir Dogs? The Quentin Tarantino writes dialogue like better than anybody else. The dialogue in the diner, Toby Wong.
Wrong.
I got Toby Wong coming out of this year. I got Madonna's big dick coming out of this year. Like Quentin Tarantino's dialogue is hilarious. The soundtrack is what was it?
Stuck in the middle with you.
No, not the song, but it was the whole radio station playing throughout the whole movie. K Billy's Super Sounds of the 70s, right?
Yes.
And and then Tim Roth telling the story about the drug deal in the bathroom with the fucking cop, the police dog, the canine unit. And one of my favorite lines in a movie ever is in Reservoir Dogs when he's telling this story, and someone comes in, he's like, "Motherfucker, I'm trying to watch The Lost Boys," right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just the dialogue is fantastic. The cast is fantastic. My only regret is that Michael Madsen was not a bigger star than what he was, because he was the best, is one of the best. And there should have been a Vega Brothers movie like there was supposed to be.
Yeah, I agree. I wish there would have been more of a spin off of that, but Michael Madsen's had a decent career. Chicago boy.
He absolutely has. He absolutely has. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the career that he's had, but fucking he should have been a bigger star. Like, he is so good in this movie. He's such a dirtball, and it's a heist movie without seeing hardly any of the heist at all. Like, the heist stuff that you get is just implied, but it's a fantastic movie. I love this movie, and I love fucking Chris Penn.
Yes, nice guy Eddie.
Nice guy Eddie. Like, R.I.P. It's fucking I can't say enough great things about this movie. It's the best.
Totally agree. I think there's a lot of people in this movie that kind of you could see how good they can be. Steve Buscemi, I thought, stole the show. You have Harvey Keitel, which is probably a heavyweight of American actors at the time. Chris Penn does a great job. Loris Tierney, who has a horrible reputation for working, does a great job as Joe. Tim Roth, who just came out of nowhere, and that role was actually supposed to go to James Woods. When the agent was contacted by Quentin Tarantino, Quentin didn't have a lot of money, as I stated. They only had a budget of $1.5 million, and James Woods' agent didn't even take it to him and told him, James won't do a movie for less than X amount of money. When James Woods heard this, he went to Quentin Tarantino, fired his agent, and told him, anytime, anywhere you want me to work, I'll work for you, which I thought was pretty cool. Say what you said about James Woods and being crazy, but he's an excellent actor, which probably plays into the fact that he's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a heist movie, but his role in Casino,
yes,
as just a dirtball con man, 2-bit hustler, as Sam calls him, or golf hustler, I think is what he called him. Like, he's a good actor. He's crazy, and his politics do not align with me at all, but he's a good actor.
Yeah, totally good actor. And one of my favorite lines from this movie is when they're talking about shooting Mr. White at the diner, and he goes, "If you shoot me in a dream, you better wake up and apologize."
You better wake up and apologize.
Yeah, just the dialogue is great. The visuals is great. If you watch this movie and you look when they're talking in the warehouse, behind them is a jar of orange sand, pink sand, and white sand. And basically, when pink and white are together, the two sands are together, and you can see orange on the outside. So Quentin Tarantino is throwing how great he is visually in terms of this movie. You get the Quentin Tarantino shot of looking from down, looking up. That became famous in Pulp Fiction with the briefcase. You get the same thing within the car here. You get the transition of him walking out. There was no foot love in this movie because that was later down the line.
This was pre foot fetish Quentin Tarantino.
But the dialogue is great. You even get Quentin Tarantino playing Mr. Brown, who kind of sounds like Mr. Shit.
Well, then the whole dialogue about them picking their names. He's like, I can't do it because then everybody on the job is fighting over who wants to be Mr. Black. He's like,
nobody knows it's muddy.
It was fucking awesome. It is just a great movie. I didn't see this, and we talked about this on our Quentin episode. Like, this was not the first Tarantino movie I saw. Pulp Fiction was, and I went back and watched this after. I was like, oh shit, this guy's got another movie. I gotta watch it, and it just created, this this love of Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, it's his like for a first movie, he hit it out of the goddamn park. Like it's phenomenal. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it because it's visually it's great, dialogue is great, story is great. This is a top 3 Quentin Tarantino movies. This is probably his top 3 for sure, and he's only done 10.
Agreed. We did get some Quentin Tarantino news this week. He's making his next movie, and supposedly his last, and it's called The Critic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about like a 70s porn star movie critic. And but we're starting to get some news about it, which means that it might be in the works soon, which is awesome because we haven't seen anything since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, and see, I'm a little unsure if this is his last movie because Quentin has gone on record before when Kill Bill 2 ended. He said that he wants to do a Kill Bill 3, but wants the actors and actresses to age naturally.
Yeah.
So that's something that's probably in the works. Probably that'll be his last one, but he's always claimed 10 is like the perfect number. We'll see. Like, I mean, and he gets bored, he'll probably come back.
Yeah, I mean, if he has a story to tell, he'll do it.
Yes, yeah. So we're looking forward to see what comes out of this new one that comes out.
Absolutely.
But let's go into our next one.
You don't know what you're doing. You know how long we go back? Huh? 25 years. I'm gonna tell you something. For the first time in my life, I'm scared. I don't know why it is. I was never scared before, but I'm scared now, Nick.
2001's A Score, directed by Frank Oz. He was actually the voice of Fozzie Bear, Miss Piggy, Fonzie, Cookie Monster, and Yoda. You might remember him from his role in the Blues Brothers as the guy who gives Jake Blues back his belongings in prison and shows him the condom.
The condom.
Yes, he also directed. He was also in Knives Out. Great comedic actor, awesome guy. This movie stars heavyweights of film in Robert De Niro, Edward Norton, Marlon Brando, and Angela Bassett. The crazy thing about this movie only made $113 million on a $68 million budget. So, Swole, tell me why you love this movie.
Well, I love pretty much anything Ed Norton does. Like Robert De Niro's in it, and he's the GOAT, right? You can't say anything bad about Robert De Niro. Actually, I'm going to see that new movie with Robert De Niro and Sebastian Maniscalco tonight with my old man when we're done eating dinner. But this is a heist movie. This is a movie about a job and a plan and a trick. And Ed Norton plays this character. He plays this character, and he pretends to be mentally disabled, and he plays it really, really well. And they're trying to steal this scepter from this museum in Montreal. And Robert De Niro is this old school like cat burglar thief, and he doesn't want to do it. And there's some double crossing, and it's everything that you want out of a heist movie, in my opinion. It's not talked about a lot, but it's still really, really good.
Yeah, this movie, I think it's crazy because it's made in 2001, and it basically has a Robert De Niro who's playing kind of the old guy that's trying to get out of the game, which is funny because that was 22 years ago and he's still acting today. This also comes fresh off Ed Norton doing Primal Fear, which showed him that he has that range of an actor that can do the different personalities, which I thought was pretty great. And then, of course, Fight Club was after that. So he's playing a character with different personalities and different, roles that can switch on end, which I thought was impressive. And then Marlon Brando, what else can you say about Marlon Brando? He's pound for pound the greatest actor, according to anybody, that lived in that era. If you watch his movies, he was the Godfather, Apocalypse Now. And it's crazy that this is the first movie in history to have two of the same actors in the same movie that played the same role and won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Which is for De Niro and, of course, Brando for Vito Corleone. I liked it a lot. I think it's something that doesn't get enough respect as it should. It's totally a different type of heist movie. It does have twists and turns in it. The The funny thing I found is that Edward Norton's role, Jackie, was actually offered to your boy Ben Affleck,
Oh,
and he turned it down. Michael Douglas was actually attached to do this. I don't see Michael Douglas playing Nick Wells very well. Uh, they debated on they debated on certain things, the writers and whatnot, about how Jackie would take care of what's the guy's name at the end when he lets live?
oh, the
Uh,
old like the old man.
Yeah, Danny. Take care
Yeah.
of Danny. They debated on his fate, and they shot both ways and decided to go with the way they did in the movie, which I thought was pretty good to show that Jackie does have kind of like a human side. I like this movie a lot. I love Brando. Brando is fucking crazy if you ever read about him. And on this set, he would call Frank Oz Fozzie Bear and Miss Piggy the whole time. They said that when they weren't shooting, he would walk around the set completely naked because it was hot. Like Marlon Brando is fucking out there.
Well, and then there's a scene where he's just sitting in like an empty hot tub in the movie,
Mhm.
and Robert De Niro walks in, and you could tell that he's crazy. Also, there's a little bit of Gone Girl in this movie, and hear me out when I say that. Not just because Affleck was offered this role,
Mm.
but there's a scene at the end of the movie where Edward Norton's running to catch a bus, and he thinks he's getting away with the scepter, and he's wearing a Baltimore Orioles hat. And the director and the producers of this movie wanted him to wear a Yankees hat, but he is from Baltimore, Maryland. He had them put on an Orioles hat in the movie. And everyone knows that on the set of Gone Girl, there's a scene where Affleck is hiding in the airport, and they wanted him to wear a Yankees hat because he was from New York, and he refused because he's a diehard Red Sox fan. So they had a compromise, and they made it a Mets hat. So kind of something similar because we both love baseball and inside movie stuff. But there's the '90s Orioles logo hat at the end of this movie.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a aspect or attribute of Edward Norton in general, because in Rounders, his character Warren was supposed to smoke, and Norton is huge against smoking, which is why he talked shit about cigarettes in that movie. He refused to have his character do it, which they had to write in. That's totally like the way Norton is. And Norton's a total method actor along with De Niro.
He's also nuts. Like
Yes.
well, the dude Tony Kaye, the guy that wrote American History X, which I feel like we could probably do a whole fucking episode on,
Mhm.
was a known like kind of an asshole, and Edward Norton rewrote that script a bunch of times, and it led to some like behind the scenes fighting and like redirects and reshoots. And also, it's why he didn't do a sequel to the Hulk. Disney and 20th Century Fox or Paramount thought he was too hands on.
Yeah, and Tony Kaye came out and said that Tony Kaye doesn't take credit for that movie, which is
No,
pretty crazy.
which is bizarre because it's
But,
still
yeah, he says that it's not the vision that he wanted. He claims that Edward Norton went behind his back during post and tried to push more of his scenes than the whole complete vision of the film, due to him being nominated for an Oscar, being the Oscar buzz going around it. So I don't know who he believed there, but yeah, Edward Norton is very hands on. He's not the easiest person to work with, which is probably why that there hasn't been a sequel to the Hulk until later. He stepped out, he bowed out.
yeah, they recast it.
Mark Ruffalo came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but total complete dick, but great actor.
I mean, the only thing is, I wish the latter part of his career, I wish that he didn't just want to exclusively work with Wes Anderson. He's been in a bunch of Wes Anderson movies, and yeah, he was in Glass Onion, Knives Out, but like I feel like he only chooses Wes Anderson scripts to make now. And I love Wes Anderson movies, but sometimes I want to see Ed Norton in a fucking badass, like not necessarily like a Fight Club, American History X, but just something different than the existential Wes Anderson movies.
I would like with Ed Norton to be in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think they would fit perfectly.
Like he probably could have played that role of Oppenheimer, but Cillian Murphy's gonna kill that.
Cillian Murphy's a very good actor.
Like Cillian Murphy's gonna kill that role.
Yeah, he's so underrated. My first introduction to Cillian Murphy was Red Eye.
Yeah, the Wes Craven movie.
Yeah,
with Rachel McAdams.
Yes, he's just phenomenal, right? And and then also 28 Days Later, another great movie by him. that's when he started was off before. Then of course you got him with Batman as the Dr. Crane,
Yeah,
but he's
Scarecrow.
Pinky Blinders. If you need to look at Cillian Murphy's like resume, you'll see like the guy has so much range as turns into an actor.
That dude's elite and not talked about enough. So I
Yes.
hope Oppenheimer is like, it's never gonna be like Fast and the Furious or whatever, like in terms of box office numbers, but I hope it's like the sleeper hit of the summer.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm actually going to see that in theater. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. We should do a Penguin night out for that.
Yes. Did you see Motherless Brooklyn? No, I have not, Tony.
I've heard Motherless Brooklyn was good. He plays like a gumshoe detective, but I haven't watched it yet.
His latest species. Oh my god, Shankster. No, I haven't seen those movies, Tony, but I will definitely check them out. Ping me about them. Let me know what they're about. But let's get into our next one, my man.
What are you doing? What do you mean, forget the money?
What am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone.
I don't understand.
Because there was a dead man on the other end of this fucking line.
1995's Heat, directed by Michael Mann, starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Val Kilmer, has a budget of $60 million and a box office of $187 million. So this movie is one of my all-time favorite crime movies in general. Total with heist. It has two of the greatest actors again reprising, a relationship in Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, who we haven't seen work together since The Godfather. This time they're actually interacting with each other. One of my favorite scenes is when they're actually in the restaurant that was totally unscripted and had them basically ad-lib, showing how great they are to their craft. It's based off a true story of the Neil McCauley, who was a ex-Alcatraz inmate. So that kind of throws that into it. Val Kilmer, I think, steals the show in this movie, just with the fact that, his character as a kind of a wild card. The fact that him and his wife are, going through issues. With famous Hank Azaria, she's got a big ass. That's the Al Pacino. It's when Al Pacino became the yelling Al Pacino. But it's like just the whole story of it, of them planning the heist, trying to get, then the sacrifices they make. Kilmer loses his family, basically. Is just phenomenal. There's another book that came out related to Heat 2, which I haven't read, but everybody's telling me it's great. And the fact that this movie was based off a story from Chicago makes it even better to me. What do you think of this movie, Swole?
I mean, this movie is iconic, and this movie has, I think you hit it on the head. Like, Val Kilmer steals this movie. But it's also been it's been so inspirational for other movies. Like the bank robbery scene in The Dark Knight doesn't exist if it's not for Heat. And Christopher Nolan has said that himself. This like Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, the diner scene is fantastic. If you ever get a chance to watch this movie in like a true surround sound setting, like it's fantastic.
Totally is. And I touched on him earlier. Eddie Bunker is actually Eddie Bunker, the real person. If you look into his history, he has a pretty crazy history as just a person. But the character, John Voight's character in this movie, is actually based off him, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, it's a great. I love everything. I love the way it's shot. I love Pacino and De Niro at their best when they're
Peak.
like their peak. They're punching out great movies going on. This is also, like I said, when Pacino starts to go into the more of the screaming Pacino, which unfortunately we get way too much now, except in The Irishman, he wasn't as bad.
Yeah, like he was still like over the top as Jimmy Hoffa in The Irishman, but like he reined in the just yelling.
Yeah, that's the many faces of Al Pacino. We could go through that in another pod, but
That's a whole.
But he is like there was a video game I remember being released for this. There was a rumor of it, and I was so fucking pumped because just to be able to play those characters was something that I was really interested in, and then it got cut. Now they're doing the Heat book release of part 2, which is something that I'm very interested in. I just like it a lot. It's awesome, and R.I.P. to Tom Sizemore, who's in this movie, who's up and coming. You have Ted Levine in this movie, who played Buffalo Bill as Bosco. Dennis Haysbert, Natalie Portman's in this movie, William Fincher. Like, you have like an all-star cast of people who haven't really hit it hugely big yet. Ashley Judd, Wes Studi's in this movie.
I think like this is just from like my golden age of movies, right? Like the movies that were coming out around this time just like have left such an impression on me. And this is iconic. This is Goodfellas level. This is Casino level. This is like Scorsese elite flicks level good. This flick.
Yeah, totally good. And the crazy thing about this movie is it's like you said, it's inspirational. When Val Kilmer actually loads his gun in the movie, the military shows that to their recruits as a proper way of loading that automatic weapon, which he always took pride in. Like that video is like a perfect way to reload. And that's just how hands on and authentic to detail that Michael Mann was for this movie, which I thought is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Too bad. What's this? Too bad Jack couldn't play as Hoffa in The Irishman.
Yeah, I think Pacino killed it as Hoffa in The Irishman. I didn't need Jack Nicholson in The Irishman. As Hoffa again.
Yeah, I actually liked the Hoffa movie.
I liked Hoffa too, and Danny DeVito, but like Al Pacino was really good as this.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah.
But let's move on to our next one, my friend.
Yo, Jeff, what you want from me, man? Want me to get on the table and dance? You like me to shine your shoes? Want me to smile at you? But you definitely won't let me deal the cars. You might as well call it White Jack.
Ocean's 11, released in 2001, directed by Steven Soderbergh, who directed Magic Mike, the movie that Swole's been trying to get me to see.
Hey, that movie's fantastic, bro.
Logan Lucky and Che, Part 1 and 2. This movie stars George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Don Cheadle, Julia Roberts, Casey Affleck, Carl Reiner, Andy Garcia, and the great Bernie Mac. This movie made $450 million on an $85 million budget. So tell me about Ocean's 11.
I mean, this seems like a cliche pick if you're talking about heist movies, but I don't think you can do a heist movie pod without including Ocean's 11. And some people say the Sinatra Rat Pack version of it, but this movie is perfect to me. This is a fun movie. It makes you want to be in Vegas. It's shot with that Soderbergh feel. It's beautiful visually. Pitt to me is the real star of this movie. Rusty. He's always eating. Julia Roberts is great. Matt Damon is great, but also severely underrated is Andy Garcia. And Andy Garcia is in another movie that we're going to talk about. But this is a good movie, and this is the peak of it. It's a heist movie at its finest.
Totally. And the thing I love about this, like we all knew the original Rat Pack movie of Ocean's 11, and about Frank Sinatra and the crew. This movie, I think, is good, if not better, due to the fact that we have so many personalities mixed in with the writing. You have like Rusty, who's the fixer, basically. You have Danny, who's the brains behind everything. Linus, who's everybody has their own speciality in the movie. Don Cheadle as Basher. I love that aspect. I love that there's so much depth to different characters, and you basically some of the ensemble cast, and they actually mean something. You can have throwaway characters that have certain attributes. Even the guy who fucking, I forget his name in the movie, but the guy who squeezes into the boxes and whatnot. The trapeze.
Oh yeah, the gymnast.
Yeah, the gymnast, the contortionist.
Where the fuck you been?
Yeah, he's hilarious. These roles are cast perfectly. Julia Roberts was really, really big at this time. She was the first actress to actually demand $20 million per picture. And when they were trying to recruit her, Brad Pitt and George Clooney sent her a $20 bill and said, "I heard you take 20 for each role," which got her to come on, which she laughed about. They never worked together. This spawned great sequels, and there's never going to be another one made because Bernie Mac passed away, and George Clooney has come out and said that they can't do another one without him, with that cast.
Yeah.
And now Carl Reiner's passed, as Sal, and he was excellent in that movie, Carl Reiner as Sal.
Absolutely.
It was perfectly cast. They had, like, when I was reading about this, Bruce Willis was considered for Danny Ocean and he had to drop out, which I cannot see Bruce Willis doing it because I think Clooney has that style and swag along with a comedic aspect to him. I don't think Willis could have pulled it off the way he did, even though he's in the sequel. But I think, like you hit the nail on the head with your explanation. This movie is awesome. I love everything about it. I love the fact when Sal goes to the casino and that guy comes up to him, Sal, and he just like, Vladimir.
He's like,
yeah, they take him away. So
I love that they shot a scene on the L in Chicago when Clooney meets Damon. Yeah,
another Chicago callback to that, and the fact that they had consideration the Wilson brothers to play the roles of the twins, and
Scott Conn and Casey Affleck's roles.
Yeah, they had them in mind. They also had the Coen brothers, which I thought was crazy. to play that role. But I don't think Khan and Affleck could have been replaced by that because they were hilarious in the movie.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, against it. And to throw back to, to pay homage to the original, Angie Dickinson and Henry Silva, who you might remember from the great movie Above the Law, are in this movie. But they were in the original Ocean's 11, and that's probably one of their final roles. It's actually just for Henry Silva at the boxing match with Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko, which I thought was pretty crazy that they actually add them in there, just as like a little homage that, those characters are now in this one.
There's certain movies that make you feel like that they showcase the city that they take place in. Like when we did our event for Top Gun last summer, like it made me want to go to San Diego. It made me want to spend some time there. It made me want to see like the beach and the harbor in San Diego and like Gaslight District and Petco Park. This movie makes me want to go back to Vegas. Like
definitely. And the Bellagio, was so big in this movie. And it probably won't have the access like it did back then for this movie. When this movie was made in 2001, I believe. Yes. The Bellagio gave full access to the director and everything. The security footage shown, there's actually tapped from the Bellagio cameras, which I think is completely crazy, unheard of today, because the owner at the time was such a huge fan and friends with the director that he gave the full access. And he was in the middle of a sale. The guy who bought the place actually was like, "Oh, I love the whole aspect. I love the publicity you're getting. You have full access." That will never happen in today's date due to God knows what would happen. Just to go off the history of the movie, Jon Favreau was offered to write a screenplay for this movie, which I thought would have been great to see what it would have been. But they turned him down, saying no. Bill Murray was supposed to play the lounge singer in this movie, but he had to drop out for the Royal Tenenbaums. And one
fucking
thing,
Wes Anderson, man.
Yeah.
Jeez, no, I'm just kidding. I love Anderson. I would love for us to do a Wes Anderson episode.
We can do one in the future.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp, who I love as an actor, was supposed to play Linus, and I can't see him playing Linus.
No, like this cast was just perfect, spot on.
It was, if the cast was in the right place at the right time, and it, like I said, it spawned the great Ocean series to even go to the Ocean 8, which I thought was pretty decent.
I liked it too. I thought you were going to say the opposite. I thought you were going to hate on it. I liked it as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how they were drawing the comparisons of the the story. I thought it was a good reboot of it. It's just a good story, and it's really enjoyable. So
I like Sandra Bullock.
Yes, I do like Sandra Bullock. Oh, another thing I want to talk about, because I just remember this because I'm rambling. But
I love it. I
remember the first time I saw this movie, I was a freshman at U of I, and the first week of U of I, you have what they call like meeting night, and you go to Quad, which is like the central area. You meet all the groups, fraternities, clubs, all that stuff, and you sign up.
Listen to some Dave Matthews Band in your flip-flop.
No, there was no Dave Matthews Band this time. That was playing anyway. But they always had like U of I was like really big about community. It's such a big campus. You would have like different food nights at different areas and different dorms. Like I lived at FAR, so you have like a Jamaican food night, and then you had like Fat Tony's. Everybody went to Fat Tony's in the Quad because of steaks and burgers and ribs. Anyway, as one of the week they had a planning of seeing a movie that was on the Quad. So they had a gigantic screen with over like 10,000 kids there, where we all sat on the Quad grass and watched Ocean's 11. That was my first experience watching. I'd never seen it before, and I loved every minute of it watching it there.
My wife is not into movies like this at all, but she sat and she watched all the Ocean's movies with me, and she likes them. So,
yeah, it's excellent. I can't talk enough about it. It's awesome. But let's get into our next one.
Doesn't matter what the con is. Insider trading, a line we got on a bookie club, insurance scam, whatever. You've seen the money and you want it. More of it. So who cares if you have to bend the rules a little bit, as long as nobody gets hurt. But then somebody does.
2003's Confidence, directed by James Foley, who also directed At Close Range, Glengarry Glen Ross, 50 Shades of Grey, the sequels, that is. This movie stars Edward Burns, Dustin Hoffman, Rachel Weisz, Andy Garcia, Brian Van Holt, Morris Chestnut, and Paul Giamatti. This movie had a budget of $15 million and a box office of 23, but did gain a lot of money when it went to video. This is one of my picks. Now, this movie is not really well known. in the circles of crime movies, but it is one of my favorite movies in terms of the crime genre. Like I would even say it's like probably one of my top two after Heat because it's so underrated. I love the cast in this movie. Andy Garcia plays an excellent role as Customs Order Bhutan. Dustin Hoffman plays the king. It's got comedy intermixed with them planning a confidence scheme, a heist of ripping off somebody. Edward Burns plays a cool swag role, a la George Clooney. It has everything from, like I said, from comedy to actions, and the whole story is something different. Also, I love Christoph Speck's soundtrack in this movie. His, orchestrated soundtrack is perfect. When they're telling the story of how they're going to steal the money, and they have him go in the and to get the Twinkies at the overseas bank. And I love the fact that during that story, they're like, wait, you're going to grab $5 million in a briefcase? He's like, oh, yeah, you're right. And they cut to him having
a Nike duffel bag.
Nike duffel bag, which is hilarious. And if you look at that movie, when he tells the story of how the heist is going to happen, all the people that are taking the transactions and whatnot are actually in the real heist when it happens, which is crazy. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. Like I said, I highly recommend you watch it. Luis Guzman is in this movie as well, and he plays a cop. That's a dirty cop. Him and
Donna Logue.
That's
what I wanted to talk about.
Yes,
like you mentioned this cast, and I had a discussion with Yumper about this movie before we went live, and I had never seen this movie before, and I watched it this morning at about 7 a.m. and it's awesome. The cast is fantastic. Edward Burns, Rachel Weisz, Andy Garcia. Dustin Hoffman is a fucking creep as a villain. He is a creep. But Luis Guzman and Donna Logue as the cops are awesome. And I love Donna Logue. Donna Logue was one of my favorite parts of the movie Blade. He was also in a TV show on Fox in the mid-90s called Grounded for Life.
Yes.
I love Donna Logue. Like, he's awesome. This movie is a really good, fun heist flick. You don't expect it. It takes place in Los Angeles. It's goofy. The music is good. The fucking movie ends with Clocks by Coldplay.
Yes.
Right? It's the final song in the movie, and it's done really, really well. This is an absolute sleeper hit that probably could have been included on your hidden gems list.
Yeah, I saved it because I wanted to, but yeah, it's definitely something that Andy Garcia's character in the movie is hilarious too.
Yeah.
He tells a story of why he's chasing the main character. And just like his acting and the way he's like, maybe I'm an asshole. Like just the way he rips off his tie, and he's awesome in it. It's hilarious. Like you said, Donna Logue and Luis Guzman, when they're first introduced, they're in their car.
They're in the car almost the whole movie.
Yeah, but they're talking about how the police department has a shitty dental plan for their kids.
And he's and like Luis Guzman is giving Donna Logue on tips on how to like finesse the insurance. Like tell him it's not cosmetic. Make him write it up. Make him say it's a fucking cavity or something like that. Like I really dug this movie. It's fresh in my mind just because I just watched it this morning.
And just like this Kanze run, the way he explains it, the opening scene with Gordo gets shot, like that whole scene I thought was perfectly done. And the fact that Gordo was afraid of using the bathroom on dirty toilets, it cracks me up.
He's like, just take a shit on the plane.
Yeah. Tiny Lister's in this movie too, which he plays a totally different role than the Tiny Lister, as the tough guy. He plays a big, forced character, but he's really, really nice, which always cracks me up.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Edward Burns goes to meet Dustin Hoffman for the first time. And they have to pat him down before he goes in. And the other bouncer throws him up against the wall. He's like, don't you have any fucking manners? Sorry about that. It's policy. Do you mind? And he's like, no, absolutely. And he plays complete opposite of Debo. He's just, it's awesome.
Yeah, so if you haven't checked this one out, I would definitely recommend it. The soundtrack's awesome. I love it. Great performance by all the cast members, including Rachel Weisz and Edward Burns. But let's get into our final movie.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
2010's The Town, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Ben Affleck, Rebecca Hall, John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, and Pete Postlethwaite. I hope I said that correctly. Budget of $37 million and a box office of $154 million. Now, Swole, all roads lead to Rome. This is one of your favorite movies of all time, and I want to hear you talk about it, my man.
Yeah, thank you, Yump. This movie is fucking fantastic. It's about bank robberies in the Charlestown neighborhood of Boston. Ben Affleck is absolutely perfect. Jeremy Renner is a terrible, just he's a bad person, but he's his childhood friend and he can't turn his back on him. He's also got a stupid fucking Notre Dame tattoo on the back of his neck in this movie. And I hate him for it, but Blake Lively plays a pill popper that, she has a kid with. Jeremy Renner's like little sister. Chris Cooper plays Ben Affleck's dad in prison.
Mm-hmm.
He wants out. And he robs his bank and he falls in love with Rebecca Hall. It's shot beautifully. The ending takes place in one of the greatest baseball stadiums of all time. I saw this movie like 14 times in the theater, and it's brilliant. I watched it last night or yesterday on my lunch at work just to get caught up. Correct me if I'm wrong. That you know this. The writer of this book also wrote Mystic River and Gone Baby Gone, if I'm not mistaken. They all take place in like Boston or the suburbs of Boston. Those three movies. What's that?
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, those three movies are all fantastic. Like Mystic River, Gone Baby Gone, and The Town. Two of them Affleck had to do with. He didn't have anything to do with Mystic River, but I can't say enough about how this is the ultimate heist movie in my opinion. And Ben Affleck at his absolute finest.
Yeah, I'm looking to see. He wrote Prince of Thieves, but it looks like he was more towards. He wrote The Town, but he looks like he wrote The Strain, so I don't see any of his books. But I have to look at it. I'll check back on it and report back later. But yeah, totally. Like this movie is awesome in terms of just the story. My brother actually read the book and told me like the book is awesome, and Affleck wanted the movie to have the book ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil it because you have to watch the movie if you haven't seen it. I won't spoil this one because this one's too good to spoil. But the book and the movie have different endings, and Affleck wanted originally to have this movie follow the book precisely, and it was actually a 4-hour movie. He cut that down to 2 hours and 35 minutes and eventually got down to 2 hours and 8 minutes. But if you have the Blu-ray version, he actually has all the uncut scenes in the movie. Jeremy Renner steals the show. He was nominated for an Oscar for this movie. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. And the crazy thing is, he wasn't even up for consideration of this movie. The only reason he got the role was because Ben Affleck was having a hard time finding the character who played for Jeremy Renner's scene. Character, find the correct actor. And Casey Affleck had worked with Jeremy Renner on The Assassination of Jesse James, which is another underrated movie.
Absolutely.
And recommended him. And this basically got him, like, shot him up because after this, then he did the movie he was nominated for. What was the movie he was nominated for an Oscar with? Still escaping me. Where he plays the bomb detector.
The Hurt Locker?
Hurt Locker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this, then he eventually went to Marvel, but a great, undervalued actor. And then he's in Mission Impossible as well.
He's a scumbag in this movie.
Yes, he's a complete scumbag. But who really I really don't like, and he plays a complete asshole, and I'm sure he's an asshole in real life, is John Hamm.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot stand John Hamm.
He's like the dude that says, touch me and I'll sue. He's like the dude that has daddy's trust fund, touch me and I'll sue. Like, who says that? Who says, if you touch me, I'll sue you? Like, be a man.
Well, George Washington Duke said that in Rocky.
Yeah, in Rocky 5, but he's like that dude.
Totally. He's a complete asshole in this movie. I cannot stand him, which I guess makes him a great actor. Blake Lively's in this movie. It's everything about leading up to just getting out and trying to start something new and, trying to be better as a person's Affleck's, character arc. I think it's completely great.
I think that speaks to how great this movie is, right? John Hamm's character is the good guy, right? Like, he's the guy that's trying to stop these bank robberies, but you're like, no, man, I want Affleck to fucking pull this off and get out of here and leave that life and run away with Rebecca Hall, right? And, Also, Blake Lively is known for Gossip Girl. She is not fucking a Gossip Girl character in this movie.
No.
She is a completely different person, and her range as an actress is more than just a CW, WB TV show. She was in that movie with Anna Kendrick a couple years ago, A Simple Favor. It was like a murder mystery. Like, she can act.
Definitely can act. She kind of, so I think like this is like one of her better roles, and then she goes to with Savages, and it's just like it's kind of like a down step for her.
Well, and we talked about that when we talked about fucking that stupid Oliver Stone movie, The Doors.
Yeah.
Like, Oliver Stone hasn't done anything great in a while, and he tried to be like edgy and do the Savages again, and it was like a WB Oliver Stone movie.
It's just horrible. But this movie, in my opinion, is perfect in every way. Affleck at his best, Jeremy Renner coming out party, James Coughlin. It's awesome. So if you have not seen this movie, I highly recommend it. The book I heard is very, very good as well. So I would read the book, which is called Prince of Thieves by Chuck Hogan. Check that out.
The scene where he's like cutting the roses in the flower shop, and Affleck's like, I'm done. He's like, yeah. He's like, you think you could just walk in and tell me that you're done?
Like, it's with like calmness that Pete Postlewaite does it.
Yeah.
He's a classically trained actor. Like, Postlewaite was in Romeo and Juliet. He's also Kobayashi in The Usual Suspects.
Oh,
that's another great.
I'm surprised it wasn't on your list.
Yes, but I wanted to try some different stuff.
No, I gotcha.
Damn it, I'm late, but The Town is one of my favorite movies of all. Cheers to you, Dougie.
Dougie's the man.
Yeah. Blake Lively has range. She does. You missed it, Dougie. That was actually our entry.
That was the audio clip. Yeah, it's also the name of our episode.
Yes. I'm gonna hurt some people. And actually, the Dead as Dillinger that I have on our picture is actually from Reservoir Dogs, with Lawrence Tierney talks about when he talks about Mr. Brown and Mr. Blue being dead as Dillinger.
I can't speak enough about how much I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a and one thing I found funny doing research for this was when they're having the nuns mask on. Affleck was directing this movie, of course, and he was giving direction while having the mask on during that scene. And they said that people could not like hold it together. They were just laughing their ass off at Affleck. And then he realized that he took it off. I was like, okay, yeah. But it's just the fact that he did it for like a half an hour and people couldn't kept breaking makes it hilarious that in this serious movie they had, comedy like that in it. But a perfect movie, perfectly told story. And shout out to Ben Affleck. Affleck's getting a lot of love on this episode. I saw The Accountant. We saw this. He was considered for the roles of Jake and Jack in The Score. Affleck's getting a lot of love here.
Affleck is great. There's another what's his name? His name is George Carroll. He plays one of the members of the crew. He's like the big dude.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like a hardcore dude. Like, he when I say hardcore, I mean like hardcore music. He's like in a hardcore band called like La Coca Nostra.
Mm-hmm.
And he was part of like House of Pain for a while. And he just like he does more than just like act in this movie. He's like a really well known like in the music industry in that scene. But the whole gang of like bank robbers was just really good.
Yeah. There's the shots of even the scene that we played where he's telling Colin that we're gonna hurt some people. Just that whole transition of him walking into the room and you see Jeremy Renner sitting there watching TV
in the dark.
Yeah, in the dark. That whole transition. I love, the dialogue in here is great too. He not just with Fergie and Affleck, his character, but when he's yelling at Jeremy Renner, it's like, "The fuck you gonna do? Play Xbox all day? What are you fucking do?" Like, just that whole dialogue cracks me up. Like, you could tell that Ben Affleck's character is a badass. He doesn't need to say it, but when he says it, it means something.
Or when Affleck tells Renner that he's moving, he's like, "We were never gonna play house. We were never gonna be one big fucking happy family."
Yeah,
it's
dialogue is just awesome.
It's so good.
And if you haven't seen this one, please check this one out. It's totally worth your time.
I want to know, like, in the comments right now, we have 7 people in here right now. Let me know. Have you seen this? If you haven't seen this, I want you on the podcast next week to tell me what you think about this movie. You can come on here and give us your honest review of this movie. So
Yes.
anybody that hasn't seen this movie in the chat, I want you on the pod next week.
Also, if you have any movies that we haven't mentioned that are your favorite heist movies, throw us at Yumper and Swole on Twitter.
Yeah. Do you got any honorable mentions?
To be honest with you, I think we kind of gone through like heist movies in general. Like Confidence, Usual Suspects was, of course, one that I liked a lot.
I got one,
Mhm.
and it was just because it was a movie that was watched a lot and like on Sunday dinners. The Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh yes, that's another great one.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan. Like I really like the Thomas Crown Affair.
Entrapment is another one.
And Catherine Zeta-Jones, Sean Connery, absolutely.
Yeah, as far as heist movies. But I think we touched on, like, I want to touch on something that like is not as well.
I think this was a good list.
Yeah, because we have Ocean's 11, we have this movie, but like I have Confidence. You have The Score, who people don't look at as much.
Yeah,
Reservoir Dogs.
And I had never seen Confidence until today, and I'm really happy that I took the time and watched that. Drank my coffee and like started my Sunday morning off.
Yeah, definitely. If you haven't seen those movies, check them out. Of course, if you want to talk about heist movies, you can't talk about, heist movie without mentioning, Fast and the Furious 25 or whatnot.
Hey, family.
Jesus Christ. Have you seen a new one?
No.
The funny thing is, since we had Roper on, Richard Roper, and in front of the show, I look forward to his reviews of Fast and the Furious because how much he dislikes them. It just makes me laugh because I remember he just went on a rant.
What's funny is I love Roper and I love like reading his reviews, but he reviewed that new Ben Affleck, Robert Rodriguez movie, Hypnotic, and he liked it.
Yeah, but see that he also liked Nope. So that's why the whole point is like everybody has different.
Everyone
tastes.
has their opinions. Yeah, everyone has their opinions, and I thought Hypnotic was fucking cheeks, bro. Like it was awful.
I'm gonna have to ask him what which is his favorite Fast and the Furious movie. But yeah, he doesn't bash them, but it's just like he gets frustrated because
he does. Because that's a movie that he has to go review because it's a big release.
Entanglement. Yes, not to be confusing.
Hey, keep his wife's name out your mouth.
Yes. But in terms of Fast and the Furious, I don't know if you noticed, I know we're going off subject here, but Michelle Rodriguez had a clip come out that I don't know what it was from, but she was complaining about the Marvel movies.
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
How many Marvel fatigue? Yeah, how many Marvel movies are going to make? And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
How are you going to say that? You're in Fast and the Furious 10, and I don't even think that includes the Hobbs and Shaw movie.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I was telling my buddy about this because he was like, oh, how many movies are there in Fast and the Furious? I'm like, 10. And he's like, are they going to come up with an original idea? And I'm like, well, they wanted to have Fast and the Furious and Jurassic Park and they're twined as a universe, which I thought was fucking so stupid. But they went to the moon a couple movies ago. So
it was the last one. I went to go see that one.
I watched that with Jen in the theater, and she was like, what the hell is going on?
What did we just spend money on?
Yeah, I don't know. My favorite Fast and the Furious is the first one. I also really like the third one, to be honest with you. The first Justin Lin movie. Because it's something different.
I think the first Fast and the Furious movie is good. Like it's a legit good movie. But when it went away from there was always that heist angle in it, but went away from that to crazy shit to Vin Diesel stopping trucks with gravity. Come on, man.
To put a pin on this subject, but the fact that Vin Diesel went from Welcome to the Xander Zone to screaming Nas and Fast and the Furious to Family to I Am Groot and Riddick. Riddick is probably his best role he's ever played.
I am having visions of Vin riding this T-Rex down Las Vegas Boulevard talking about how the Velociraptors are family.
That guy has had a crazy career.
Absolutely.
But probably one of his best roles is not a well-known movie. It's called Find Me Guilty.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Boiler Room.
Yeah, Boiler Room's good, but Find Me Guilty is actually his lead role. I thought he did very well on it.
Wasn't he in Pool Hall Junkies too, or
probably
there was another one? I don't know. I don't know. He's so weird. Now, actually, his best role is Groot. Like, I'm just gonna say it. His best role is Groot.
God, I wish I could make like millions of dollars just saying one line.
Right.
But yeah,
Oh,
Gone 60 Seconds guy.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Great movie. That came out. That was like The Rock, Armageddon, like Con Air, Gone in 60 Seconds. Just fantastic.
Triple X was a good movie. Actually the sequel got panned, but
The
wasn't
Ice
as
Cube
bad.
one?
No. It's State of the. I'm saying the one with him.
Oh,
Return of Xander
the
Cage.
other one, The Return of Xander Cage. Okay.
The reason I like that was because it had Donnie Yen in it. I'm a huge Donnie
Well,
Yen mark.
that's yeah. So last night when we went to go see The Machine,
Mhm.
they were showing previews, and I don't know, like I know how you feel about these movies, but there's a 4K remastered Old Boy coming out.
So I've been following this. I haven't done martial arts classics. I usually try to do them every 2 weeks for the Statistic Penguin Studios website and our YouTube. Old Boy has been on my list. Old Boy is so hard to find.
It's
It's like
I own both of them. I can give them to you.
But I'm saying digitally in terms of buying it now. Now it's starting to get released a little more. It's kind of under the Dogma. It's
The
pulled,
rights.
Yeah, it's pulled. It was having a rights issue. It used to be on Netflix. You could watch it anytime. Now it's kind of being slowly released. And now that they're doing this theater release, which is something I want to go see, uh, it's starting to get more traction to be released more widely to the audiences. Coming soon, probably when I have time, I'm going to do Old Boy for that because that is a great movie to watch.
It is fucked up.
Yeah, fucked up, a great.
It's a great movie. It is a fantastic movie. And even, like, I know how you're going to feel about this, but even the Spike Lee one with Josh Brolin was good, but it is fucked up.
Yes.
Like, it's
extremely.
like if you're in the chat and if you've seen Larry Clark's Kids, like, it's kids level fucked up.
God, Kids ruin people's lives, man.
Kids still fucking haunts me to this day, and I haven't watched it years.
Yeah, definitely. Old Boy's not for the faint of heart.
No,
2003 movie, but check it out if you can. It's a very, very good movie.
Yes.
But before we start closing out the show and go on to what's coming soon, Mr. Swoboda.
Yeah, I think we decided. Shit, we just had this conversation. What did we decide? Oh, M. Night Shyamalan movies. We're gonna do some M. Night Shyamalan movies next week and talk about his career, the ups, the downs, the good, the bad.
The Village.
Yeah, The Village, the Happening.
Yes, The Happening. Mark Wahlberg. Oh, God.
But yeah, we're gonna talk some M. Night Shyamalan movies next week, or maybe not next week. Next time we record, we don't have a definitive date yet. We record when Yump and I have time and we could do it. But yeah, M. Night Shyamalan movies.
Yep, really looking forward to that. I think M. Night Shyamalan has probably a most polarizing career in terms of the director who started off great, went through his shits, and then came back on top.
Yeah.
And it's kind of riding a little high right now. So it's kind of like an interesting career. We'll go through some of his movies. You'll hear my rant on the Village, which is I'll just save it for that. But I'm really looking forward to that one. And also, if you guys haven't noticed, we have a special event going on that we want to talk to you guys about. So the annual Yumper and Swole movie outing will be taking place July 15th at a location hasn't been decided yet because tickets for Indiana Jones have to go on sale. Then once we get the tickets on sale, we will rent out a theater like we did last year for Top Gun Maverick. It's probably going to be more locally towards Swole's area of Oak Brook. But we're going to rent out a theater there. Everything is free. All you have to do is pay for your popcorn and your food. Come watch the movie with us. We usually give away a little gift for everybody there. It's an annual
emoji.
emoji. Yeah, I emoji. It's a way for us to say thank you to all our great listeners out there. To RSVP, you have to send an email to swoboda931@gmail.com. Please send your real name and your Twitter name if we know you from there. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. We are filling up pretty fast with this event. We're already more than halfway full.
Yep.
It's a 40 capacity. We are more than halfway full. So time is running out. If you're going to go, shoot us an email or text us, let us know because it's a great time for everybody. Top Gun was awesome to enjoy with everybody. Indiana Jones is one of our favorite movies. Movie characters. This is the last time that Harrison Ford is going to play the role. and it looks really interesting. And Dougie shirts are not required, so you can wear no Union Swole can go shirtless if you like. Real name Douglas. Yes, I would have never thought that, Dougie. But let us know if you guys want to come through. Please, like I said, send that email out to swoboda931@gmail, with your real name and your Twitter name if you go by that. Also, Mr. Swoboda, I just sent you the text message. Dennis Lehane wrote Mystic River and Gone.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. I know that like they were similar. I thought they were bad.
But no, it's okay. But Affleck did take inspiration from The Departed, Heat, and Mystic River for his movies.
Yeah.
For this movie, for The Town. Shout out to my brother for letting me know because he's more of the English guy than I am. But yeah, definitely come check us out, guys. We really look forward to you guys coming. It's just a way of us saying thank you, and we'll see you all there. And with that, let's get to Swole's final thought.
Hey, I got nothing except for we want to see you all at our movie. And if you guys want to, like, if we do the movie early enough, let's go out for pizza afterwards. I can make that happen, and we can all have dinner together after the movie or whatever. Just hit me up, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys. Looking forward to our next episode with M. Night Shyamalan movies. Guys, have a good holiday weekend with your family. Be safe. Treat one another with respect and kindness, and we love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Yumper and Svo, a Sadistic Penguin Studios production.
You still here? It's over. Go home. Go.